truly blessed and duly grateful. Truly blessed and duly grateful. Say that with me. Truly blessed and duly grateful. Truly blessed and duly grateful. Well, I am truly blessed and duly grateful on so many different levels. On one very simple level, I had a minor comedy of errors this morning. I wear a monovision contact, and I was having challenges with it. And I took it out, and I put it back in. I was still having problems with it. And I squinted, and I put drops in, still having problems. Squinted too hard, and it popped right out. And I found it, and I cleaned it, and I tried to put it back in, still had problems. So I thought, okay, I'm not going to fight this. I'll just take it out. And I will look for a pair of readers. We've got tons of readers in our Lost and Found, and passed by my husband's office, and John had a pair of readers on his desk. I thought, great, I'll go ahead and use these. Put them on, walked down the hallway, and the lens popped out of the reader. Thought, okay, this is very fitting as I'm ready to do a lesson on gratitude. And, you know, we have such a wonderful community here. As soon as people were aware that I was having this challenge 5 minutes before the service, I had as many pairs of readers as I could possibly want. So, Daryl Rogers, thank you for your readers this morning. Truly blessed and duly grateful. Truly blessed and duly grateful. What could be a more appropriate topic for this week, right? To be reminded of what we already know, and that is the absolute power, the life-changing power of the active, consistent practice of gratitude. The active, consistent practice of gratitude is absolutely life-changing. When we cultivate and practice the feeling of gratitude, all sorts of benefits cascade out of that practice. There are health benefits. Our blood pressure lowers when we are feeling grateful. Our immune system is strengthened when we are feeling grateful. We sleep better when we are feeling grateful. Our relationships function much better when we are grateful. When we are grateful, we can't help but feel more positive and happier as well. The practice, the active practice of gratitude is one of the most powerful, life-changing practices and one of the easiest that we can participate in. We're going to take a look this morning at 7 habits of highly grateful people. I love the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and I wanted to do a playoff on that and share 7 habits of highly grateful people. Do you know that the whole idea of gratitude is a really popular topic right now? It's really hot. If you were to Google gratitude or gratitude journals, you would literally find millions, almost 4 million pages devoted to some aspect or someone writing something about gratitude. If you type in gratitude at Amazon.com, you will find about 8,000 titles somehow linked to the topic of gratitude. I am grateful that that is happening. I am grateful that in our culture, this topic is becoming a very commonplace topic. I know that culture changes with conversation. And the more we talk individually and collectively about gratitude as a practice, the better we are going to be as a human family, the healthier we are going to be, the happier we are going to be, the more creative we are going to be, and the more we can work on making this world a happier and better place for all of us. There is also a great deal of research that is happening in all different fields on the topic of gratitude. I recently learned about the Greater Good Science Center at UC Berkeley. The Greater Good Science Center at UC Berkeley. I encourage you to look this up. The work coming out of this center sounds so unity without the unity jargon. This center was awarded a $5.6 million grant over a 3-year period to study gratitude. I would love to be given $5.6 million as a spiritual community to study gratitude, but I'm glad that they've got it. I'm grateful that they have it. Here are some of the mission statements and objectives that they have. Their general goals of the initiative are to, 1, expand the scientific database of gratitude, particularly in the key areas of human health, personal and relational well-being, and developmental science. To promote evidence-based practices of gratitude in medical, educational, and organizational settings, and in schools, workplaces, homes, and communities, and in so doing, to be able to engage the public in a larger cultural conversation about the role of gratitude in civil society. The folks at the heart of the Greater Good Science Center and this study were also involved in some of the design and focus of the movie Inside Out. So it is moving far and wide in the culture, and rightfully so, and we all stand to benefit as a result of that. Yet there are a couple of challenges we face with regard to gratitude. One of those is that we we do live in a consumer-oriented society. And that consumer-oriented society is forever giving us messages to not be satisfied with what we have, but to always be looking for what we don't have, believing that what we don't have is better and will make us happier. And so many people have bought into that or are asleep to that constant message and thinking that in order to be happy, I've got to have something I don't already have in my life right now. And so this constant consuming of stuff in the hopes of happiness eats away and stands in the way of really practicing the feeling of gratitude, which is about practicing being grateful for right here, right now. There's a second challenge that we have, and it is the challenge that we have tended to become as a society of people that feel entitled. Entitlement is the attitude that says, I deserve what I want, when I want it, how I want it, as fast as possible for the cheapest possible price, and don't stand in my way of getting it. Interestingly, after first service this morning, I had a mother and her college-age daughter come through the line. The daughter was home visiting for Thanksgiving, and the mother was thanking me for this part of the message because she said that she had planned on having a conversation with her daughter about gratitude and entitlement, and that the mother and father had felt that they had raised all of their children the same way, trying to make life comfortable and easy for them and give them the many blessings that as parents we want to give our children. And yet this daughter seemed to have gone down what I call that slippery slope of not just appreciating, but then feeling entitled and angry or upset if they didn't get what it was they wanted. And the mother was saying to me, and so her father and I want to have this conversation with her because somehow we think she's moved into that slippery slope of entitlement. And I'm so glad you gave the talk. You did, because now I don't have to have the conversation with her. And I looked at the poor young lady and I thought, well, I bet you're not going to come to a Unity Church again for a while. But the point is an important point, I think, because it's also a bit of a shadow side of our teaching in metaphysics. There's a part of our teaching in metaphysics that says, expect the best, right? You've heard this. And on one hand, that's a healthy and good thing, to expect the best. to work for the best, to expect the best, to hold the vision for the best. But the shadow side of that, if we are not careful, is that we can slip into this attitude of expecting the best and becoming overly demanding and completely unappreciative of anything that doesn't meet that high standard of the absolute best. And so I think this idea of entitlement plays into all of this. We need to watch that part of us, if indeed it has happened, that has moved into an energy of entitlement, that the world, that life, that everyone owes me something just because I'm here. Just because I'm here. So habits of highly grateful people. What are those habits? Habit number one, and this one might surprise you, highly grateful people do think about death and loss. Highly grateful people do think about death and loss. That can sound negative, right? And yet, if we are willing to think about our own death, if we are willing to think about the fact that the things that we enjoy right now could possibly be gone tomorrow, whether things or people, when we keep that perspective, we will naturally appreciate more what we have right now. What we have right now. Think about a week ago Friday and the tragedy in Paris. We talked at length about that last week. We just don't know when that which we find normal and can easily take for granted might suddenly change. To be truly grateful, to practice the kind of active, consistent gratitude I'm speaking of, requires a certain soberness of thinking. It requires a willingness to realize and not take for granted the good that we have right here and right now. It was interesting in doing some research for this lesson, I found an experiment that had been done on a college campus trying to understand this idea of, on a much smaller scale, loss. And so it was an experiment involving chocolate. I would have loved to have volunteered for that experiment, but they didn't ask me. But anyway, the experiment was about chocolate. And so they took a group of college students and they gave them high-quality chocolate that they could enjoy and were to enjoy a piece every single day. And then after a period of a couple of weeks of the students enjoying a piece of chocolate every single day, they broke the group into 3 separate groups. One was a control group, and that control group for 2 weeks could have chocolate if they wanted to or abstain from chocolate if they wanted to. It was entirely up to them to do whatever they wanted for those 2 weeks. Another group was told that they had to abstain from chocolate for those 2 weeks. They couldn't have any chocolate whatsoever. And then the third group was told you need to binge. You need to eat as much chocolate as you possibly can for that 2-week period. And then they went back at the end of the 2 weeks and checked in with each of the groups. Who do you think was the group that most appreciated the chocolate when they were given it after that 2-week period? The one that binged, the one that was able to have it if they wanted or leave it, or the one that had abstained? Abstained. Abstained. What's that very simple expression? Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Habit number 2, they take the time to notice and savor positive experiences. Emphasis on the words notice and savor. To notice and savor positive experiences. What's the difference between just eating a good meal and savoring a good meal? Is there a difference in your mind? Yeah. Time, engagement. Awareness, right? When we savor something, we are really paying attention, right? We're noticing, if it's a meal, we're noticing the taste, the aroma, the texture, the flavors, all of that. When we savor something, we are anchoring that feeling into our minds and into our bodies, much more so than if we just kind of skim the surface and just go through an experience. At the Loyola University, psychologist Fred Bryant found that savoring positive experiences helped to make those positive experiences stickier in the brain. And when something is stickier in the brain, it becomes more easy to repeat it whenever one wants to repeat it volitionally. Can you see the application of that with regard to gratitude? When we notice and savor positive experiences and really anchor the feeling in our body and in our mind, they become more real, and that feeling then becomes a much more naturally habituated feeling. And remember, I shared with you at the beginning of the talk the many measurable benefits of the practice of gratitude. Third habit, they take the good things in life as gifts, not birthrights. And that goes back to the entitlement piece. Highly grateful people are aware of the gifts that they enjoy, but they don't take them as a birthright. They take them as something that's a blessing, something that's been freely given, something that is not an entitlement, but an enjoyment, a blessing. Let me read a piece from Robert Emmons, who works with the Greater Good Science Center in Berkeley. He writes, "The antidote to entitlement is to see that we did not create ourselves. We were created, if not by evolution, then by God. Or if not by God, then by our parents. We are never truly self-sufficient." Think about that for a moment. We are never truly self-sufficient. Humans need other people to grow our food, to heal our injuries. We need love, and for that we need family, partners, friends, and pets. Seeing with grateful eyes requires that we see the web of interconnection in which we alternate between being givers and being receivers. The humble person says that life is a gift to be grateful for, not a right to be claimed. A fourth habit of highly grateful people is that their gratitude is specific, spoken, and consistent. Say that with me. Specific, spoken, and consistent. Specific, spoken, and consistent. So if you are making gratitude a practice, and I hope that you are, I want to challenge you to do something that I heard one of our members say at a family gathering once. His name is Hal Dunning, and the gathering was a rite of passage for his daughter, Haley. And as he was speaking to family and friends that were gathered for that rite of passage, he was talking about appreciation and gratitude. And he said, we have a practice in our family to never let a gratitude or appreciation go unspoken. And I thought, that is powerful and beautiful. And then I thought about the Dunnings. I thought about Hal. And my experience of him as a member in this community is every single time he is here, he is expressing very specifically and very verbally some aspect of appreciation, whether it's for the music or myself, for the staff or the facility, but always. I thought, he's really living that. And I asked myself, it made me think, how many times have I thought something positive or nice about someone or something, and I just didn't take the time to verbalize it? You know, how many times have I been in a grocery store or at the bank or just doing something where I noticed something positive, but I didn't take the time to say thank you for that? And so I'm holding myself to a higher expression of that now, to have gratitude that is specific, spoken, and consistent. Specificity is important. When you can say thank you to someone in a specific way, it's that much more meaningful. When you keep a gratitude journal, I hope you do, if you keep a gratitude journal, to challenge yourself to look for something new and specific every single day. And not just to repeat the same things, and not just to be general, like, I am grateful for my family. I hope you are, and that's a great thing. But can you be more specific? Can you be more specific? So that's a habit, really, of highly grateful people. Their gratitude is specific, spoken, and consistent. Number 5, they are not just grateful for stuff. They are grateful for people. And they express that gratitude to the people. To the people. Have you ever gone back in your mind and thought about people in your life who made a significant positive difference in your life, and then made a point to pick up the phone out of the blue and call them, or to pick up a piece of paper and a pen and write a note out of the blue to say thank you? I bet you have. And if you haven't done it for a while, I encourage you to. I encourage you to. Let this week be a time that you exercise the gift of remembering that you stand on the shoulders of people who came before you and somehow added value to your life. I remember many years ago, to this day I remember Mrs. Reese, my 10th grade shorthand teacher. I was so impressed with her. She always looked so professional. She was such a great teacher. She was passionate about dictation and shorthand, and I wanted to do the best job for her, and I got pretty darn fast thanks to her tutelage. But many, many years after that, as I challenged myself to reach out thinking about somebody who made a difference in my life, because I still use shorthand today. Sometimes the staff goes, "What the heck are you writing on that note? It's those squiggles again." Out of the blue, I sent her a thank you note. And I said, this is where I am in my life today, but I want you to know that of all the things that I learned in school, yours is one of the things that was so helpful, and you were such a great teacher, and I just want to say thank you to you. When she wrote back to me, she gave me a bigger gift writing back to me than I ever could have given to her. It meant so much to her. You have people like that in your life. Don't ever undervalue yourself and the contribution you can make by simply remembering and reaching out to some of the people that have somehow made your life a better life. And tell them that. Call them up, write them a note, make a connection. Habit number 6, they thank outside the box. I know you've heard the expression to think outside the box, and I like that one a lot. But highly grateful people also thank outside of the box. What does that mean? To me, to thank outside of the box is to practice advanced gratitude. Advanced gratitude is different than ordinary gratitude. Ordinary gratitude is saying thank you after something nice has been done for you. That's just ordinary. That's basically good manners, right? Didn't your mom and dad teach you when somebody does something nice, you say, thank you. Don't stop doing that. But to thank outside of the box is to practice advanced spiritual thanking, which is to say thank you before. Thank you before. We have a really good role model who did this. I'm sure you remember the story. As soon as I give you a few of the pieces of it, you'll remember it right away. It was Jesus feeding the multitudes. They'd been with him, listening to him for days, teaching. They didn't have food. They were hungry. The disciples heard them murmuring and getting upset, and the disciples' solution to the problem was disband them, send them home, then we don't have a problem to deal with. Jesus said, no, let's figure out what we do have right here and right now. And the food that was brought to him was a very meager amount of food. A few loaves of bread, a few small fish, we're told. And he didn't look at it and go, oh boy, what in the world am I supposed to do with this? We're told he took what was given to him and he gave thanks for it in advance, in the attitude that being thankful for what he had, that somehow that gratitude, that thankful energy and attitude was going to make what he had be sufficient to quell the hunger of the people who were there. Is there something you're wanting to bring forth in your life, some good, some project, some goal that is not yet in manifest form in your life? I bet there is. Are you giving thanks now for it? Can you move into the energy of gratitude now before it has actually taken physical form? The same kind of gratitude you will feel once it is here. If you can move into that now, you become a powerful magnetizer to help bring that into your life experience. That is basic metaphysics 101. And then the last habit that I would share with you is they actually practice. Now you might say, well, that's all you've been talking about with all the other habits. But they practice with some sort of specific ritual around gratitude. It might be keeping on a daily basis a gratitude journal and actually writing in it every single day. It may be having the practice of writing thank you notes to people on a consistent basis, not just in response to some action that has been done recently, but in reflecting back on actions that have been done in the past. It might be to keep one of those old-fashioned gratitude jars where you write down the things that you are grateful for, the people you are grateful for, the experiences in your life that you are grateful for. And you put them in that jar and you watch that jar get bigger and bigger. And so they practice, they have some sort of ritual or tradition to concretize the experience of gratitude. So I've shared with you 7 habits of highly grateful people. I hope 1 or 2 of them are ones that you want to recommit yourself to, especially this week as we gather together as a country around the theme of Thanksgiving. Let it be not just about the turkey, but let it be about the experience of a grateful heart. I want to close with 2 of my favorite quotes on gratitude and Thanksgiving. And unfortunately, I don't know who to credit either of these to. What if you woke up tomorrow with only the things you had thanked God for today? What if you woke up tomorrow with only the things you had thanked God for today? And the other, enjoy the little things in life, for one day you may look back and realize they were the big things. They were the big things. Namaste.